Ukraine's Special Operations Forces accuse Russia of using phosphorus shells in Bakhmut after white fire was seen falling from the sky. Rebel Syrians slammed the Arab League's decision to readmit their country to the group, calling it a whitewash of President Assad's regime.
Britain's coronation weekend continues after a star-studded concert Sunday night, with a Monday dedicated to volunteering. Ukraine's Special Operations Forces are accusing Russia of using phosphorus shells in Bakhmut. This video purports to show the telltale white fire from such munitions falling in the city. International law prohibits the use of white phosphorus or other incendiary weapons in areas where there could be concentrations of civilians. On the ground, heavy fighting for Bakhmut intensified on the eve of Victory Day celebrations in Russia. Ukrainian soldiers appear to spend most of the time in bunkers, taking cover from the Russian shelling. Meanwhile, Russia has sparked a mad panic after telling people to evacuate 18 settlements in the region surrounding the contested Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. The mayor of Melitopol said on Sunday there were 5-hour waits as thousands of cars left the area. The head of the UN's nuclear watchdog, Rafael Grossi, has warned a severe nuclear accident could occur. Grossi, who recently visited the plant, says the evacuation indicates the possibility of heavy fighting between Russian and Ukrainian forces around the plant.
A farmer ploughing his field in Ukraine. Those in areas that are now free from Russian occupation are risking their lives to clear their land of explosives ahead of the critical spring planting season. Even then, they must cope with soaring production and transportation costs caused by Moscow's blockade of many Black Sea ports.
Він одноосібник. Він на свій страх і ризик сам себе підвергає, ризику, опасності. Іде на поле, виносить, убирає. Є підриваються. Бо хочуть обробити землю, то що вони за счет землі живуть. Прошлий рік урожай не зібрали, не посіялися озимими, зараз сімечкою не оціюються соняшником, опять остануться. Тобто остануться без грошей зовсім. У нас ситуація така, що ми орендоване підприємство, у нас робочі. Робочих послати на поле, на якому, ми знаємо, є міни, заряди, я не можу. Тобто ж послати людину, щоб вона підірвалася, не маю права я такого.
Like many other farmers across Ukraine, Bushkalo says his risk of going bankrupt is very real.
A decision by the Arab League to readmit Syria to their ranks after being suspended for more than a decade has been slammed by the US, the UK and rebel Syrians. Foreign ministers from 13 of the 22 nation group's members were present at the meeting in Cairo, where the decision to readmit Syria was taken. They stressed the need to end Syria's civil war and the resulting refugee and drug smuggling crises. But Syrians living in the rebel-held northern province of Idlib have voiced shock, accusing Arab countries of whitewashing President Bashar al-Assad's regime and questioning their fate following the decision.
احنا كسوريين داخل مخيمات الشمال للاسف الشديد كانت صدمه كبيره وان الرؤساء العرب بدل ما يخدمونا ونطلع من هذه المخيمات حيث المعاناه والالم قاموا بغسل يدي المجرم القاتل وغسل يديه من دمائنا.
نحن ما استفدنا منه من عند عند ما كان بالجامعه العربيه ايش استفدنا وعند الصار بالجامعه العربيه ايش استفدنا؟ نحن هلا كمهجرين وطالعين من بلادنا وبرا بلادنا ما بيفيدنا كل هذا الحكي لانه هن لو ما مثلوا ما بيرجعوا على الجامعه العربيه وحتى كلياتهم على بعضهم ما في افاده منهم تماما
Syria's Arab League membership was revoked after President Bashar al-Assad ordered a crackdown on protesters in March 2011 that spiraled the country into a civil war that has since killed nearly 500,000 people and displaced another 23 million. The US and UK are among the Western countries that have recently stated they won't restore relations with President Assad's government.
Incumbent president and presidential candidate of the People's Alliance, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, held a massive rally in Istanbul on Sunday. According to official figures, more than 1.7 million people were in attendance.
Rally attendees expressed their joy and trust in their candidate and his AK party, who have been in power for 20 years.
Recep Tayyip Erdoğan bu zamana kadar vaat ettiklerinin hepsini yaptı. Yapamadıkları hiçbir şey yok.
Erdoğan Müslüman olduğu için, ahlaklı, cesur olduğu için ve bir de hizmet aşkı var. Vatanını, dinini, Allah'ını seven bir lider.
Geçmişimi bildiğim için Tayyip Erdoğan'ın yolunda ilerlemek istediğim için Tayyip Erdoğan her zaman Tayyip Erdoğan.
During the rally, Erdogan attacked opposition candidate Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu, claiming he was a drunk and that he was collaborating with terrorist organizations. The May 14th parliamentary and presidential elections may prove to be Erdogan's toughest yet, as latest polls have him lagging behind his opponent.
Turkey and Syria are still reeling from the devastating earthquakes that hit the two countries 3 months ago. 48 hours of tremors produced quakes of a magnitude of 7.8 and 7.6, killing at least 50,000 people in southern Turkey. Over 7,000 died in northwest Syria, a region already struggling desperately with ongoing civil war.
This is an area that has, been under conflict for over a decade now. And I think what's really key to remember is that it's almost impossible to separate the needs which existed in northwest Syria before the earthquake from really after the earthquake. Even before the earthquake, at least 4.1 million people in northwest Syria, which is around 90% of the population, were reliant on humanitarian aid to meet their most basic needs. This is also an area that has a huge population of internally displaced persons, many of whom are living with very real physical and mental scars of over a decade of conflict, and who have been displaced multiple times already, even before this earthquake.
Back in Turkey, over 100,000 buildings crumbled. Many point the blame at a government policy to grant planning amnesties, meaning contractors could skirt building regulations. According to a UN report, around 3 million Turks were relocated, but 20% of those who moved are now returning to affected areas.
We see a lot of displacement in the north of the country, and Izmir, Ankara, Istanbul, Konya, and we can track that as UNICEF in a very precise way, especially because we follow the enrollment of children in schools. And definitely there is an hope that a new job could be created also during the reconstruction process.
On the 14th of May, President Recep Tayyip Erdoğan and opposition candidate Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu will face off in the presidential election. Erdoğan came to power 20 years ago amid public outrage over government handling of a previous earthquake. Now the tables appear to have turned, and his political future is on the line. Short term in both countries, food and sanitation are the most essential things, but psychosocial support to battle years of trauma will be vital in the long term.
As the climate crisis pushes global temperatures higher, big cities are feeling the heat, with thermometer readings twice as high as rural areas. The combination of air conditioning, traffic buildup, and the lack of fountains or green corridors means cities can be a heat trap for the most vulnerable. So, how can we make our cities cooler quickly?
How do we design our public spaces, and how do we make sure that the buildings are better insulated, thermally insulated, to protect the people inside? But generally bringing temperatures down in cities by using special types of materials and technologies, but also nature, and water in the surface to bring temperatures down. We should keep air conditioning like medicine, giving it to people when they really need it, and really keeping it at minimum use.
Any delay in implementing measures would risk aggravating the situation further. Professor Harriet Buckley, urban warming expert, advocates immediate action.
And first thing, keep what we've got. And the second thing is to try to introduce more nature and blue areas into cities. And a lot of our tarmac in cities is also very dark. And the more darker surfaces that we have in cities, the more heat they will absorb. We could start by just painting our roofs white. That could be in the form of green walls, green roofs, small street parks, shaded trees. We can think about depaving, so removing some of the pavement that we have in our cities. actually introducing blue areas into cities can be a bit faster than growing the nature that we need in cities to support us.
Some cities have successfully implemented measures such as Malmö, Paris, Milan, Barcelona or Lisbon, but experts warn against the danger of inaction by governments, adding scientific research has identified the main factors contributing to global warming in cities. A day after a gilded coronation ceremony watched by millions, King Charles and Queen Camilla let others take the center stage as they took in the star-studded entertainment featuring Nigerian singer Tiwa Savage, American pop icon Katy Perry, and many others. But then it was the turn of Prince William, Prince of Wales, to compliment his father and the people.
Pa, we are all so proud of you. And I also want to express my pride and gratitude for the millions of people who serve in the forces, in classrooms, hospital wards, and local communities. I wish I could mention you all. Your service inspires us, and tonight we celebrate you too. I commit myself to serve you all, King, country, and Commonwealth. God save the King.
The extended coronation weekend continues for Brits today with what's being called the Big Help Out. The aim is to use volunteering to bring communities together and create a lasting community service legacy stemming from the historic occasion.